You know, one of the most toxic things we can do with our relationship with the Lord as Christians is thinking that every single bad thing that happens to us is because of our sin. We get a flat tire, oh, it was because of that one thing I did, a couple months ago. Or, when a lot of change is being orchestrated in your life, it must be because of all those bad things that I did and I never got a consequence for it, and now that consequence is finally catching up to me. That's such a toxic way of thinking, and it's also discrediting what Jesus did on the cross for us. And, I've been a victim of this too. I think we all have been a victim of this. And you know what? It's probably something that we're all going to struggle with as Christians in our lives, is thinking that, when we mess up, when we sin, it's like we're anticipating a consequence for that sin. And it's taking away the grace that Jesus gives us, and it takes away the gravity of what Jesus did on the cross. Yes, there are certain decisions that you make that will have consequences because of how big that decision was, or how catastrophic that decision was. But a lot of the little things that we do, whether we lose our temper, or we fall into lust, or we fall into this, we fall into that, it's like we anticipate consequences for it. We anticipate God to strike us with thunder, to strike us with lightning, to strike us with consequences because we sinned. And that is taking away the love and the grace and the mercy that Jesus is yearning to show us when we fall into sin. And not every single quote unquote bad thing that happens to you is a result of your sin. It's just not. Your relationship with the Lord is predicated on whether you obey or not. If you obey, the Lord's going to bless me. And if I don't obey, the Lord's not going to bless me. And I'm actually going to suffer consequences. That's like the dynamic of how you think about your relationship with the Lord. And you wonder why there's so much uneasiness with your spirit, and you put the weight of the shoulders, the weight of the decisions and the obedience, you put all of that pressure on your shoulders, and your life is just miserable because you're so focused on doing the right thing, and you're so focused on obedience that it takes away from what Christ did on the cross for us. Now, I don't have kids, but I have little siblings, and they're annoying. They get on my nerves. They make a lot of mistakes. But I found that in those mistakes, I actually love them more. I want to hug them more. I want to be there for them more. I want to comfort them more. And our relationship with the Lord is the same way. It's not predicated on obedience. It's not predicated on being a good little kid. It's predicated on love, on grace, on mercy. It's predicated on what Christ did for us on the cross. And a lot of us have parents like that, where it's only predicated on whether you're a good kid or not. When you made a mistake, it was the end of the world. You got yelled at. You got told you were a bad kid. You got told this, you got told that. And now you're a people pleaser, right? Now you go on with your life, always trying to be the good kid, always trying to keep the peace, always trying to do the right thing. Because if you don't do the right thing, you're going to be yelled at. If you don't do the right thing, you're going to be told you're a bad kid. And now your entire life is predicated on obedience. It's predicated on doing the right thing. And that's just not how a relationship with the Lord is. And it's sad that people are falling into this trap, falling into this lie from the enemy, that if you don't obey, you're a bad kid. If you don't obey, you're a bad Christian. If you don't obey, you're not one of God's children. And that is such a lie. That is such a lie from the enemy. So don't bring your relationship with the Lord, God's love for you, down to as simple as, if you obey, he's going to bless you. If you don't obey, he's actually mad at you and he doesn't love you, and now you're just going to suffer consequences. That's not how it works. But that's how most relationships work down here on earth. When we do a good thing, our parents give us candy, our parents give us a reward. Or if you do the right thing with your boss, he gives you a raise, or he gives you this, he gives you that. That's not how the dynamic of our relationship with the Lord works. It's not. And you really need to lean in on the cross, lean in on God's grace, lean in on God's love. That doesn't excuse your sin. It doesn't excuse your bad behavior. And it doesn't give you the permission to do that. But by leaning into the cross, leaning into God's love, it's going to make you not want to do those things, because you understand the gravity of how the cost of God's love, the cost of God's grace. So I just wanted to encourage you that not every bad thing that happens to you is because of your sin. It's just not.